Hiya, I'm a Zamen, and Fear and Hunger 2 Termina is a game that scares me in like the best way possible. Because I like being scared. I do very much enjoy the messed up and depressing. Just look at my blank dream video. But only where there's a point to the tragic and hopeless feeling, which Fear and Hunger does very well. Both the first game and the second game capture this amazing feeling, where you just feel like there's no way to win, but you can see a thread to victory. I know these games have gotten a decent bit of recent attention, but I've had this footage for over a year and a half, since June 2024, and well, I just want to share the experience of my first run through Termina in a narrated fashion, so sit tight as my fear and peckishness shall guide us to an ending of Fear and Hunger 2, Termina. Booting up the game, I am greeted by an intro that always puts me on edge, without fail. I'm then given 8 different potential pro tags. We're gonna meet all of these fine folks later, so they don't get introduction, as I choose to play as the fine, upstanding man right here, the Doctor. His name's Don, but seeing as this is a Zamen video, and I'm playing a male character, his name shall be Edwyn. Which, confession time. Yeah, my name ain't Zamen, it's Edwyn. So, the channel's guilty of false advertising, I know. But, before you sue me, we've got a text adventure to get through. A text adventure that fills us in on the background of my character. Our main man here is the son of Sylvain cultists, people who worship the old god of fertility and love. One day my parents got so into the group love part of worship that they just never returned. I'm therefore abandoned, and on my own I try to find honest work as a butler's apprentice, where I become acquainted with a baron who takes a liking to me. And that baron decides to start teaching me how to be a doctor, in exchange for my knowledge on the old god Sylvain. Along the way, I end up falling in love with his daughter, Elise, and marrying her. Though before things can get truly settled, I am then drafted into the Great War as a combat medic on the side of the Eastern Union against the Bremen Empire. Side note, the Eastern Union is basically the Allied forces from our actual World War II, just without the USA, cause here in the world of Fear and Hunger, that doesn't exist. While those Bremen lads are basically the Germans, and war is horrific. After returning from war with added trauma, I find my home in shambles. The Baron is dead, and Elise is the victim of a bloody ritual sacrifice. It seems while I was away at the war, the Baron got into old magics and seemingly lost his mind to them. With my life thoroughly ruined, I grasp at any straw I can, digging through old documents and notes in the Baron's study. In those notes, a location keeps appearing, the city known as Prehevel. I decide to travel there for the faintest chance at answering what has happened here. There has to be some kind of purpose to this ritual, some kind of meaning. So I hop on a train and begin the game's events. By going through the backstory of our Dr. Protag here, I chose my starting skills and equipment. Due to trying to be an honest good boy, I got the skills Analyze and Organ Harvest, which I rarely never used. Organ Harvest gives me ways to heal ailments, but it very rarely ever showed up because the regular items I found did just that. And Analyze is a thing I just didn't really figure out, so yeah, it wasn't very helpful. And alternatively, if I had answered a bit differently, I could have gotten the healing spell Loving Whispers, which is a really helpful healing spell that, in my run, I only acquire at the very end of the game. Back to the story. While aboard the train, I fall asleep and awaken in a hellscape with a janitor. It does not go well. Oh, I don't like the... Is this the New God Hall? Left crawling and bleeding out, I drag myself through a hall containing a myriad of gods before eventually appearing at the top of a tower where this kind gentleman, Hercule restores my limbs and informs me that the moon god Rare is hosting a cosmic jubilee with 14 contestants and 1 victor. It's a battle royale that will last for 3 days and 3 nights. The dream then ends and I awaken on a now empty train with 14 other people, some of which are the other playable characters. Nearly everyone's outside except for a shy person who stays secluded in another train cart. Outside, it's apparent that the rest of the train's passengers have just vanished, and we've stopped in the middle of the woods. There's an engineer named Abella who seems to be trying to get the train running, but she's not making much progress, and an older gentleman named August tells everyone to get oriented, and to try and reach the city of Preheville by going towards the big tower that I saw in the dream. With not much to be gained from here, I boldly step into the wilderness in search of, I guess, civilization. Though I do immediately devolve into looting upon stepping into a shack. To survive this game, I'll need every resource. Though aside from the fog being creepy and a dream, there's nothing abnormal here yet, so I can keep walking. Oh, and while walking, me and Tanaka, a salaryman who was on the train, stumbled upon a gruesome scene, which apparently isn't too unusual as further ahead in Preheville's old town, the townspeople have seemingly gone mad. Each of them have sickly, almost rotting skin. All of them brandish weapons with a desire to kill as they pursue me. I want no trouble, especially after that encounter with the janitor, so I keep my distance, running and staying ahead of these people. I also end up finding a locked gateway that leads into the main city of Preheville. Maybe it's safer in there. The walls and gates could have kept these crazy folks out. That man August from the train then scales the thing with a few hops, which I can't do as I'm not athletic enough, so I'll have to settle for finding a key. My quest takes me further into the woods where I find military vehicles that have been protecting a hatch that leads into a bunker. Before I descend, I'm approached by Abella, the mechanic who's trying to fix the train. I don't actually know why she's here. She just is, and she looks at the hole and basically says, "Damn bro, that's crazy, let's hop in." And once inside, she surmises that the Eastern Union must have underground networks all around Preheville. I thought that this was a bunker, but according to her, it's a bunch of connected tunnels. I wonder how she knows that. Either way, she joins my party, and together we explore Tunnel 7. There doesn't appear to be much here. Mostly flickering lights, metal hallways, and junk. Oh, hey look, a hat. I can't wear it though. What's that noise? It's just the
We didn't go to the right.
Oh, check there in a second.
Oh, that was the hat. That was the salesman earlier.
Oh,
That
that's
was the salesman's hat.
that's
And that's the salesman.
what the fuck? The salaryman Tanaka from earlier is dead, decapitated by a psychotic clown, who is now coming after me. Seeing him, I first try to run away, but if you paid attention, there was something shiny in the room where the clown killed Tanaka. So, with my better judgment, I attempt to juke the clown and run past him. I do not, putting me into my first battle. So, if you don't know Fear and Hunger, this one enemy clown is actually like 6 enemies. His limbs, both arms, both legs, plus head and torso are each targetable, and at minimum each arm can do some kind of damage, and by targeting limbs you can destroy them and minimize damage. You should know I played the first game, so I had an idea on what to expect. So seeing that syringe and whip in his hands, I decided to focus my damage on his syringe arm, as in my eyes that appeared to be the most dangerous. Bella and I successfully disarm him and... Oh my god!
Oh, he just said, "Fuck it, gun."
I am promptly shot. I black out and feel an injection on my neck. When I awaken, I'm chained to the floor. A red spirit then approaches me and gives me a massive orgasm that causes me to pass out. Again, I awaken, this time unchained and still alive, though the same can't be said for Abella, who's just gone. I stumble out of the tunnel, using an emergency exit that leads into someone's house. Now I'm in a shantytown. There's no one hostile here, so I let my guard down and walk around. Right into a bear trap that takes both my legs. Left crawling, I struggle forward and come across another train passenger, Karen. She's a reporter who's now investigating the mystery of whatever madness is going on here, and she has nothing to say about my current state. Not long after, I'm killed by a random man who was protecting his home from an intruder, ending my tale. But hey, I'm the guy who got his ass kicked by Pokemon Reborn for 90 hours. So like any difficult battle, it's time to run it back. It doesn't go any better. It's actually worse. Leaving the train, I take a different turn and end up encountering the woodsman. His PP moves, and within 10 minutes of run number 2, I'm dead. Run number 3, I decide to get a Bella, and this time instead of trying to juke past the clown for the shiny thing, we just turn around and run. And the two of us just start exploring Old Prehaville, encountering Karen like I did in run number 1, but with legs this time. After looting a few more houses, beating a couple people to death, and a lot of reading on basic game mechanics via in-game book, Abella and I arrive at the mayor's manor. For the most part, it's empty. There's no one here, just more loot. Or so I thought until Abella and I walked into the wrong room on the second floor, where there's a priest quietly praying. He does not take kindly to being disturbed. A fight starts, I run away, back outside to where it's safe. Or so I thought once again, as the priest knows how doors work, and he pursues me, leading to my first big battle. I assume the priest can cast magic since he's got symbols on his hands, so Abella and I focus on destroying them first, but we are too slow. We just don't have enough damage, and before each arm is destroyed, the priest manages to cast the spell Hurting, a spell that automatically removes one limb from the character it hits. Both Abella and I lose our left arms, but the priest is beaten after we wail on his torso. With him dead, Abella and I accept our new armless reality and go back to explore the room he was in, where I find nothing. I then decide to just go and rest in the mayor's room. Sleeping saves the game, but it does advance time forward by one stage. If you'll remember, Hercule did say that the festival will end in 3 days, and each day is broken into 3 parts: morning, noon, and night. So it's noon when Abella and I awaken, and in the time we were asleep, it seems the mayor returned. He's now in the dining room and he invites me to eat alongside him. What follows is a rather unpleasant conversation, where I try to teeter around angering the mayor. He gets mad, and I get stabbed. Abella too. Ending run number 4. But since I did rest, that created a save point, so I'm back at it yet again. Now, what you are about to see next is a recreation of events. Because, well, after getting that save point, I started doing a bunch, and I mean a bunch of experimentation to figure out what to do next. So a lot of yapping and dying to the mayor, a lot of investigating and trying talk options, and a lot of random loot, specifically in the mayor's basement, where I find a gas canister on a shelf. According to the wiki, this has like a 0.2% chance of spawning, so to recreate this event, I spent about 2 minutes reloading the save. I got it on like the 3rd try. With this canister, I go and talk to the mayor, navigate his conversation. Trial and error taught me how to do that, which then rewards me with both my life and the iron brass key, one of the 2 keys needed to open the path to Prehaville proper. The mayor also informs me that the army has the other key, and if you remember, Abella did say that the tunnels were built by the military, so that's where I head next. On the way there, I get jumped by the Vial, who I've learned how to take down. It's got a 50% chance of success though. You see, in battles you can talk. Most of the time you just get little lore snippets, but for a few enemies, you can use it to do things. In the Vial's case, you can annoy him. See how he's wearing a mask? With that on, you can't understand what he's saying. But if you keep asking him, what? What was that? What? What was that? What? What was that? Bro gets so mad at that, he lifts up his own mask to yell at me, only to accidentally inhale his own toxic fumes and die. What an absolute gamer. Also, that coin flip you just saw on the screen is an example of the game's coin flip mechanic. Oftentimes, enemies will do these ultimate attacks that you have to call heads or tails on. Get it right and the attack fails. Get it wrong and it's either an instant death or you take massive damage and probably also die. Oh, and this happens for loot. Either you get something or you get nothing. Personally, I'm a fan of this mechanic. I think it's really tense and a failed coin flip is really funny. Though that's likely just me having insane copium since my looting luck is very, very bad. Back to the thing now. With the vial dead, I hop into Tunnel 7 to beat up that clown. We clash and I chuck the gasoline canister I found at him. Then I punch the canister, it explodes and murders the clown. With him defeated, I explore the tunnels and find another gasoline canister. That I then pour into a generator, powering on the tunnel and allowing me to take an elevator to an even deeper level, where I chase after some ghost girl with a blue butterfly, but it seems I'm not a wild card and she vanishes. I then find a dead soldier who on his body has the eagle brass key, and a note that clues me in on Preheville's culture. Apparently human sacrifices are still common here, and it's a city where old god worship exists. I haven't gone into lore, but for everyday 1942 life, gods, monsters, and madness are so very out of place. The note ends there, but it's also on a freshly killed corpse. Something down here must have killed the soldier, and I'm not keen on finding out what. Especially since with the Eagle Brass Key, I can now go into the city proper. Oh yeah, I should also mention that there's this weird machine down here, and I decided to turn it on, so I'm sure that's important. Leaving the tunnel, I'm then stopped by Pav. He was apparently on the train, but left before I awoke. He appears to be a Bremen soldier with greater plans, who then kinda just taunts me and instructs me to open the gates to the city, which I go and do since he has a gun on me, and as the clown has shown me, guns kinda hurt. With the gates now open, I enter the city of Preheville, which is not doing any better than old Preheville. The streets are dirty, bloody, and show traces of chaos. Before I arrived, a lot must have happened. This is a dying, if not already dead city, one now patrolled by monsters. These are bobbies. I do not like fighting them. So I do the old ring around the rosy and run into Eastern Preheville, where there's even more bobbies. Running for cover, I duck into a quiet bookstore. There I head upstairs and relax. I save the game and forward time into night. I also end up creating a save point after already saving, due to drawing the symbol of the god of fear and hunger. Glad to know there's ways to save without advancing time. I just wish I didn't waste it here. Going downstairs, I'm met by Marina, a girl from the train. She's kinda creepy, but like in a fun way. I ask her if she wants to come along, but am rejected, and then decide to wander the streets of Preheville at night, avoiding all monsters wherever I can. Especially when some of them can do, that. Do that. I decide to seek shelter in the nearby church when, hey, look at that, Marina changed her mind and she's on the squad now. Inside the church, I bear witness to an introvert's dream confession come manifest in all its pain and reality. That girl with black hair is Saw Marie. She was also on the train, the shy person. She's here because of Marina and is confronting Father Domak, Marina's father. Marina's father, who upon learning of Sam Marie's purpose, starts misgendering Marina. Or not. It's odd. Father Domek at first calls Marina a he, says he died in his eyes, and then says that Sam Marie won't find her here, before then correcting himself to say him. It's almost like he has to force himself to call Marina a him. It's just strange. Samurai then confronts him and tries to start monologuing. I think. I feel like she had a whole big speech planned, but confidence faltered, especially when Domek then grabs her and starts beating her, prompting Samurai to stab Domek 5 times and then run off, all while Marina, Abella, and I just watch. I take Marina over to Domek and she doesn't say anything. She watches him, while in his last moments, Domek calls her a stupid girl and says that she never should have come back, in a way that almost reads as protective. He then turns into goop and sinks into the floor. I explore the church, finding tools under a broken tile thanks to a note, and I end up confessing my sins of murder and how I feel nothing towards it and will certainly do it again. Though the priest I confessed to turned out to be a yellow mage named Osa, who was also on the train. He leaves and I then climb into the church's rafters, where I get lucky and don't fight any of these muscle meat men, allowing me to cut the chandelier and send it crashing through the floor, allowing me to explore the church's basement, which was previously locked. In the basement, it's a horror movie down here. Blood is everywhere. There are countless bodies just littering the floor. And the place is just crawling with these creatures called Crimson Fathers who look a lot like Gary the Snail from that one episode. There's also this weird effigy on a pedestal that I kinda just yoink. It looks important, and I also found some keys on a dead body. Then while wandering, I stumble through a ritual circle that sends me to the dimension of the moon god Rare. While in there, I remember to carve the symbol of the god of fear and hunger into everyone's faces because it's apparently super helpful. I think I remember hearing that somewhere. I watched a lot of Frapolo and lore videos, okay? Also, in the dimension, I find Saint-Marie, who's crazed and has seemingly lost her meekness. She's also a stalker, saying that they killed Marina's father for Marina, that they've known each other for years, and that now they can be together forever, because it's destiny. While Marina, on the other hand, is no-selling the entire thing, saying that she has no idea what Saint-Marie is talking about, but Saint-Marie shoots back that they met in the Vatican City, and have spoken countless times in the Ministry of Darkness, how she's watched Marina sleep, how she's seen her thoughts. This time, Marina snaps at her to shut up, claiming that she knows nothing about her. Samurai freaks out and reveals that this flesh-like pillar behind her is the true form of Father Domek. He is the church itself. Again, Marina rebukes Samurai and tells her to shut up. He doesn't want anything to do with her, which drives Samurai over the edge, and she transforms into Dysmorphia. The monster, not the word. To not mince words, I get beat. Bad. In fact, this death here is where the recreation truly stops, as I was not recording when I got here and died. But this time, during my recreation, I ended up finding a Book of Enlightenment on my way here, and that book allows me to save my game, which I do right here, so I can now just throw myself at this boss. Again and again and again, each time learning. For example, I now know that the left arm will always cast the spell Hurting at the start of the fight, but I can negate that with Abella's move, Wrench Toss, that stuns the body part it hits, preventing it from acting. Then with Marina, I cast the spell Pyromancy Trick, and set Dysmorphia ablaze, dealing huge damage over time, allowing me to actually kill Dysmorphia, albeit at great loss, as I have now lost my left leg, and Marina lost her right arm. Everyone is bleeding out, and we do not go very far after this fight, dying upstairs at the hands of the Crimson Fathers. So I load back to before the battle with Dysmorphia, and decide to run. Escaping back to the church's first floor, there at the entrance I placed the weird effigy I found on one of the pedestals. There's apparently 2 other pedestals for 2 more effigies, and if I were to place the effigies on them, then something might happen. I don't know what though. So I leave and wander Prehevel, where upon heading for the western side of town, I find Pocket Cat. who offers me books in exchange for the heads of the contestants/train passengers. I then leave him and continue west, where I run from building to building looking for anything and running from any monsters I encounter. Until eventually, at the sound of a ringing bell, I rush down some stairs to arrive at the Prehevel Bop, an oasis of safety in the hellish city with some slick tunes. It's a nightclub. Here, both Marina and Abella go and take a seat at the bar, while I, like any Persona protag, follow the blue butterfly, finding a broken tile and discovering an entrance to a secret base, one full of weapons and supplies, and so many guns that I cannot use on account of my missing arm. All that time spent in the war really was for nothing. Abella's down here now. She came to investigate and is seemingly looking over all the documents. When I ask Abella about who might have hid here, she goes silent and says they were probably revolutionaries fighting against the Bremen Empire and the Eastern Union. From the looks of things, she adds. I get the feeling Abella is involved in this revolutionary group. With this place looted, I then use a nearby ritual circle to save the game, as finding this place felt pretty important. With this new home base established, I now begin to do a lot more trial and error, looting nearby stores, and then finding myself at an abandoned orphanage, in what is one of the creepiest sections of the entire game. Being here just feels depressing, and it feels wrong that I'm here, made worse by the patrolling monsters, cherubs. These things that likely used to be children. In here, I also test out guns. Well, gun, I can only use the handgun. But it's more than enough to shoot up this orphanage. I I kill every monster I see, eventually arriving at the headmaster's office where I'm confronted by Father Hugo, who wordlessly holds his arms out to embrace me. Bullets don't seem to work on him and a battle begins. A battle that actually feels winnable. His damage isn't crazy, and Marina's able to set him ablaze, but he retaliates and kills her. Then the man takes off his clothes and sets the entire room on fire. But through the fire and the flame, Father Hugo burns, and Abella's final wrench toss caves in his chest, killing him, at the cost of Marina, which I felt was too great a price. So I Persona 3 reloaded and did some exploring to maybe find some items that would give me an edge against Father Hugo. First, I went south and stepped on a landmine. Then I went further south and east, where I stepped on another landmine. Next attempt, I went north and got jumped by the mob. That did not end well. Then I went south and extra south, arriving in the woods where I followed a siren's call, finding a woman singing who is the last thing I see before being impaled. Those attempts were all like 2 hours worth of progress that I learned a lot from, mainly crafting. I learned how to make 2 nifty items, light blue vials and murky vials, from the books I had already picked up. On the next attempt, I go right for the orphanage, go bam, pow, and pew on the kids, and then confront Father Hugo by first chucking a murky vial at him. That vial then explodes and sets his skull on fire. He then almost kills Marina, but the light blue vial I made is able to heal Marina back to full HP, and Father Hugo's skull burns up, killing him, before he can ever disrobe and get this video age restricted. Looting his body, I end up finding the headmaster's key, which goes somewhere, I imagine. I don't know. I thought I'd find something more important by killing him since, the orphanage is unique and Father Hugo is a unique character. Oh well. I decided to return to the nightclub and rest since killing Father Hugo did seem at least a little important. Upon waking up, I decided to do some solo exploring, mainly because I was getting lag spikes when traversing southern destroyed Preheville, and while doing that, I stumbled into this apartment that's covered in white moss. It's eerily quiet and almost feels peaceful. I don't like it, mainly because upon entering, the door locked, so I'm trapped and forced to solve a really good puzzle. You see, I need to open this washing machine, I think. It needs a password, so it must be important. My only clue is this report done by Karen, the reporter from earlier, who points out 4 specific apartment numbers where the occupants were murdered. So I go investigate those, narrowly avoid these tongue boys, and find a journal belonging to a janitor who I think I met earlier. That dude did seem a wee bit murdery. With that, I'm then able to pop open that laundry machine and find another world with this awful mechanical clank in the background. It is so unsettling. It's honestly really scary. Inside this wooden hellscape, there's monsters everywhere, and I can only run and hide. At times, there's multiple chasing after me, but my luck doesn't run out. Actually, no, that luck has certainly run out. I am still trapped in these apartments, and now I'm in an alternate hell dimension looking for something that might help me escape. There's even cells in here where decapitated humans are having their fluids pumped out by tubes. It's creepy. I stumble down a ladder and then find another effigy. Taking it, I then race up the ladder. Maybe this is what I need to escape. It's the only important thing here, so maybe it's got like a weird power or something. Sadly, my luck runs completely dry as upstairs I'm cornered by a monster and am then unable to escape. The run option failed me 3 times in a row. Very, very tragic. In the next life, I decide to not go to the apartments because I really feel like I need some kind of power up. So I return to wandering the destroyed sections of Preheville, where this time I find Karen, the reporter from earlier. She's documenting the events of the city, currently under the impression that this is caused by some kind of Bremen experiment. I ask if she wants to tag along with me, and she accepts. New party member acquired. Taking her back to the nightclub, I get to know Karen and learn that while she's explored the city, she's nowhere close to discovering the truth. I take Karen to the secret hideout, and immediately she is able to tell that this is a hideout of the NLU, the Nameless Liberation Underground, a rebel group against the Bremen Empire. It's nice to have a few more names in the index. From there, I then gather Abella and Marina, and the 4 of us head out to the orphanage as there is something I may have missed. You see, that apartment had an effigy, so the orphanage, another important place, must have one too. At least, that's my logic. But along the way, I get jumped by a beekeeper. This massive thing of flesh stands before us, but together we are able to overcome it, namely by setting it on fire. Afterwards, we come across yet another roadblock. Osa, the yellow mage, who is meditating and refuses to let any of us pass, casting the hurting spell if we get too close. I decide that I'm not dealing with this, so I rush him and jump him. Or, well, I try to. You see, none of the women actually want to fight, so on turn 1, it's only me and Marina who pays the price, as she is murdered by Osa's hurting spell, which then prompts the rest of the party to act, and on turn 2, we murder him. It's sad, but the party marches on, only to then get jumped by a half-cocooned man, whose coin flip attack I fail. This time, Abella pays the price as she is brutalized. Karen and I are able to quickly defeat the man, but now it's just the two of us. We then arrive at the orphanage where, after scouting it, I find a schoolyard at its heart, with a shed that can only be opened by a purifying talisman that I got from somewhere, probably looting. Inside, there's another circle of rare, which takes me to an alternate dimension. Same as the others, but this one also resembles a trench. Upon entering, I immediately see the effigy. It's right there. I just gotta reach it somehow. I need to navigate a maze that's patrolled by these creatures called Rontails. But, well, like all my first attempts, say it with me, it does not go well. I get trapped, Karen is bisected, and I'm only able to run a few paces further and then meet a grisly end. Just like the rest of the party. The next attempt, I pick up Karen and we are then killed by the mob. The next attempt, I assemble all four of us and we decide to take on the moldy apartments. I'll grab that effigy one way or another, but on the way, we get jumped by the mob. Except this time, we fight back. With Abella's wrench toss, we can stun each enemy. Marina can burn them, and Karen just offers an extra set of hands to use items. Working together, we are able to defeat and slay the foe that has killed us many times. It's a victory so grand that, instead of entering the apartments, I decide to go look for a save point, as I remember seeing several ritual circles at the start of the game, back in old Preheville, that I just didn't use. But along the way, I stop recording, so when I come back, I keep playing and don't press record. Coming across Pav, the soldier who was on the train and who I saw in that scene after the bunker. There's also Marco, a guy from the train. These two are in a deadlock, one that ultimately results in Marco being shot and killed. I then jumped the soldier and took his life, though had I acted sooner, I likely could have saved this Marco guy. I then acquire a wheelchair that Marco was picking up. Also, by this point, I picked up the habit of decapitating every enemy I come across, as I've learned that with heads, I can get soul stones and learn new skills. However, in the process of acquiring more heads, I get jumped by this guy. A death mask. He's really scary. And in the lengthy battle that follows, everyone is driven to the edge. Marina loses her left arm just like me and Abella, while poor Karen loses both of her arms, with the death mask being left in a similar state, having both of his arms severed, and we then pummel him and burn him to death, allowing us all to escape with our lives. It's a grim state we're in, but I've since collected a few books in my travels, one of those books being the Skin Bible of Sylvain, which in combination with the right ritual circle allows me to perform a ritual of healing, one that restores everyone's lost limbs. Karen's got both arms back, Marina's got hers, and the arm Abella and I lost to that priest so long ago is finally here once again. It's amazing. I'm then able to offer the heads to the Tainted One, a new god, in exchange for so many soul stones. Then, with so many enemies killed, I decide to run back to the nightclub and drop off my party members, mainly because we were running out of food. Alone, I then run back to the train, where another ritual circle lies, and use it to save all of my progress. Mission accomplished. Leaving the train, I then find Olivia, the only passenger who hasn't left. I ask if she wants to tag along, and she does. She may be in a wheelchair, but she's got 2 arms, and that's plenty helpful. With Olivia, I race back to the city, but again am stopped by Osa. Learning from my last mistake, I am not going to lose another party member or an arm, so on turn 1, I hurl a murky vial at him. It explodes and kills him on the first turn. I loot him, take his head, and decide to take a detour because I've got newfound confidence, thanks to that recent save. Plus, there's an Olivia to back me up. On this detour, I come across a scene of a man in a suit, Caligura. he's threatening a boy in army overalls, a returning soldier. Both of them are from the train. However, something to note is that in this moment, the person in the army overalls doesn't look like a soldier. They're just a scared kid who cowers as Caligula prepares to beat him to death. Caligula even says that he's doing the world a favor by getting rid of him. I'm given the choice to intervene or keep watching. Learning from the experience with Marco, I step forward and protect the boy, with Olivia joining me as well. Together we beat Caligula to death. 4 hands does beat 2 after all. Once Caligula is dead, the boy in army overalls runs off. I give chase because he looked really scared. Plus, the doctor I'm playing as used to be a soldier as well, but where my guy found apathy and emptiness from his trauma, this boy seems to have found nothing but terror from his trauma. In my search for the boy, I find a shop that is selling equipment. Apparently throughout my looting, I've picked up 99 shillings, and in the shop, there is an item that costs 99 shillings. So it must be good, right? The item I purchased is the Hardened Heart. It basically lets me survive a killing strike as long as I have 2 or more HP. I am never taking this off. After some searching, I don't find a boy in army overalls, so I decide to go back to the nightclub and pick up an ally. I decide to take Marina and keep Olivia, mainly because, well, the food is still an issue, so we got a ration. I have been doing a lot of exploring and backtracking, so the food is just running out. With 3 party members, I head to the orphanage as it is closer and I likely won't have to fight a beekeeper to get close to it. However, before I can reach the other world, I end up stumbling across that boy in army overalls. In the orphanage, he's cowering and he asks why I'm following him. I simply respond with, "Are you okay?" He then asks if I'm here for the festival, but he doesn't hear my answer. Instead, he freaks out, saying everyone's in on it and is scared that I might be here to kill him. He's especially frightened since I killed Caligula right in front of him, asking if the violence left an effect on me, asking if I heard voices that urged me to kill again. To which I say, yes, something did happen. When I killed Osa, Hav, and Caligula, I absorbed their souls. The boy then asks if the only way forward is to kill each other, and I tell him there has to be another way. Again, the boy doesn't hear me and tells me to get it over with. Again and again, he begs me to kill him, but each time I refuse. At that, the boy finally admits defeat. He sighs and then asks, what should he do? I tell him, tag along, come with me. To which he agrees and introduces himself as Levi. And he has a gun. Which reminds me that I have several guns. And 2 arms again. Quickly, I equip a rifle, letting memories of army training come flooding back. Gun in hand, I then enter the trenches and shoot my way through the monsters. Or so you'd think. Instead, I just fight each Rontail head on. Turns out with 4 people, we can actually just kill these things by attacking their torso, killing them before they can ever get a hit off. Go figure. We end up cleaning the place out and I snag the effigy. Returning to the nightclub, I drop off Olivia and Marina. They've done enough for now, allowing me to swap in Karen and Abella. As it turns out, the other dimension had a decent bit of food. Plus, I just like this Levi guy, so I want him to come along. With this crew, I head into the moldy apartments. I even watch the TV so Karen can see herself. But Karen says she's never filmed in Treheville before, making you wonder, what exactly are we watching? It's a creepy thought, so we head into the washing machine. In the other world, I learned that, once again, 4 people can do a decent job at killing these monsters, just like the orphanage Rontails. So I punch my way through and grab the effigy, meaning I now have all 3 and can do something. Hopefully. Honestly, these 2 victories back to back really made me feel hopeful. It feels like with a small team, we really can overcome anything. Nothing can stop us so long as we all work together. Alone, we are weak, truly. Just look at how easy Osa, Pav, and Caligura died. That Marco guy was shot and killed. As humans, we're weak. But together, as one, we are a force to be reckoned with. I return to the nightclub to regroup and plan out my next move. It's here where I get a scene of Karen confronting Abella about the secret NLU hideout, where Abella admits to being a part of the revolutionary group, saying that she's really just a grunt who was supposed to meet a contact here when she got off the train. But that never happened, and she wasn't given any big details. All Abella knows is that something big is happening in town. And no, it's not the monsters or the festival of Termina. It's something to do with the Bremen Empire. Very interesting. With that heard, I decide to go to sleep and advance time. Here in my dreams, I see Percolate again, the guy from the start of the game, who shows me the current state of the deceased, and then allows me to spend my soul stones. I use the magic of the moon god to learn how to make pipe bombs. I'm serious. Waking up at noon, I decide to go deal with Samari, because, well, this is an RPG and she turns into a boss, so killing a boss is probably important. Plus, I'm going to the church anyway, so I might as well. My current team is me, Abella, Marina, and Karen. I decided to leave Levi behind since, well, in retrospect, I felt bad for taking him through the trenches and then through the Hell Dimension prison, so he could use a break. On my way to church, I end up stopping at the used bookstore where I originally met Marina, because maybe there were some books I didn't loot. It doesn't hurt to check. However, inside, I'm greeted by Marina's doppelganger, who I promptly attack as the one in my party is definitely the real one. So I kill the faker. Weird. Huh. I wonder if Karen's doppelganger is what I saw on the TV in the apartments. I then arrive at the church and confront Samire, though I make sure to equip a rifle and hand Marina a shotgun. Apparently, Vatican City taught her how to use one. My strat is simple. Target her arms, use wrench toss to stun them. That should give me enough leeway to kinda just beat her to death. Which, yeah, it works. She dies and no one is greatly wounded. I also get her soul. That's neat. But nothing else really happens, so I just chop off her head and then go back up, placing the effigies on the stand, which unlocks a secret passage. Going down it and navigating the tunnel that follows, I arrive at the back streets of Prehevel, which leads me into the temple of the one god. Inside lies a massive statue of All-Mare, one of the three big gods that people worship. But my tour is then interrupted as a beastman leaps from the ceiling and challenges me to a battle to the death. He's pretty scary looking, but I did just kill Dysmorphia, so I'm confident I can stop this thing too. My strat for killing it is honestly the same. I target those spear-wielding arms and stun them where I can. I also throw a murky vial that hopefully sets him ablaze. The plan works, and before long, I destroy one of his arms, which causes him to flee. But not after he rants about how he despises humans, how they've thrown the moon into uproar, saying they're leeches causing random nonsense to happen everywhere, doppelgangers appearing, old deities are rising up, space and time is tearing apart. Which may be why these days can be both long and short depending on when I sleep. Saying his piece, he then leaves and I pick up the spear he was wielding from the arm I destroyed, which I then take as my own personal weapon for the rest of the game. Honestly, it does feel like we are unstoppable. It's cheesy, I know, but when I'm with others, I'm really not that afraid anymore. If anything, I'm feeling brave. Whenever I traverse areas, I have been killing everything that gets in my way. Me and the party have genuinely been cleaning the town up, destroying every single monster we find. Honestly, with the Beastman and Dysmorphia defeated, I think that at this rate, we can probably confront that Percolite guy and put a stop to the whole affair. Pressing onwards, we exit the temple, walk the streets, and arrive before the tower. The one I saw at the start to orient myself. The one I arrive at each time I sleep. The one where Percolite sits atop. Approaching it, I'm overcome by a sick sensation. This place feels wrong, and it sure as hell looks wrong. There's blood, gore, and sacrifices everywhere. With that in mind, though, I still approach the tower. There's a large door before me. Behind this door are likely stairs that lead to Percolite. Staring at the door, I prepare to touch it, to open it, only for Marina to yell at me to stop. This door is overflowing with otherworldly power. Marina, as a local of Preheville, says she's been here countless times before, and never before has it felt this wrong. She says we need to stay away from it, and definitely not touch it. I'm then given the option to touch the door, apparently filled with terror too. Against my better judgment and Marina's warning, I press my palm against the stone door, ready for whatever comes next. Lie. Abella begins to spasm, clutching her head, locked in pain and agony. Her body then splits apart as it grows and hardens into a bestial form that then engages me, Marina, and Karen in battle. What the fuck? Quickly, I try to get control of the situation. I guard, and Marina sets Abella ablaze. I barely survive the first attack. Fearing for my life, I hurl a pipe bomb at Abella and the two murky vials. She goes up in flames. But it's not over. After Abella's death, Karen follows suit. She clutches her head in pain and yells at us, practically begging us to run away. But it's too late. She transforms and attacks. I don't have any healing items. I used all my firepower against Abella. I'm wounded. I'm powerless. I fumble in the menu for minutes. And I come to a very heartless decision. With all the soul stones I acquired, I was able to purchase a spell called Pheromones. It sets a party member as the enemy's main target. And I cast the spell on Marina, who manages to set Karen ablaze before being murdered. Then I'm able to rally my strength and kill Karen with the Sergal Spear. And then, silence. I stand alone, surrounded by the bodies of my comrades. It doesn't feel real. We were doing so well. Wordlessly, I then approach the door again and place my hand on it. Something has to happen. This has to mean something. It needs to mean something. But it doesn't. Nothing happens. I accomplished nothing. Killing Samari didn't do anything. Killing Osa had no meaning. Acquiring all three effigies gave me nothing. And now, killing my friends meant nothing. I don't even get to turn into a monster. Nothing happens to me. They're just dead, and I killed them. We were doing so well. I thought we were going to kick Percolite's ass. But no, we can't. It's just a sick, twisted joke. We struggled for so long. Abella had my back ever since we both lost our arms. I inadvertently helped Marina confront her father's killer. And Karen was here, and now they're not. I then just wander for a bit, stepping into a museum where I don't even pay the odd attendants any mind. I just look for purpose that isn't there. I even encounter Pocket Cat, who I don't even know what he said. I didn't read it. It doesn't matter. In fact, nothing matters. Absolutely nothing matters. And before long, I'm dead, strangled to death in the streets. Yet, in another place, in another time, I decide to listen to the pleas of my party and don't approach the tower door. Instead, I turn and leave, deciding to look at a map in the secret hideout of the nightclub, where on it 3 locations have been marked, and they've been marked with some importance. So they have to accomplish something. And at this point, I looked up how to get some endings, because I really didn't want to kill Karen, Abella, Marina, Levi, and Olivia. And with these locations and some directions, I can avoid that, apparently. So I summon a tree with the power of chalk, walk into the forest, kill a tree cultist, and then get murdered by this horsey. Yeah, in the next life, I walk around the man horsey and enter another bunker, finding that static girl who leads me to an elevator that can't move. I need to restore power to the bunker first. Looking around, I follow a trail of blood and body parts, until I'm then confronted by a mass of shambling flesh. It doesn't really do much, but I try to kill it. The fight is then joined by Stitches, a woman who appears to have sewn clothes onto her body and seems to have sewn her own lips shut. She kinda reminds me of like the janitor or that clown I killed earlier. Despite looking creepy, she's not very strong, and we kinda just curb stomp her and then kill the living flesh. When I try to loot Stitches, I accidentally examine her, where I make a very startling realization. This woman is my wife, Elise. Somehow she's here after being put through such a horrible sacrifice. I don't know what to make of this, so I continue on my way, powering on the generator with a gasoline canister, and then descending the elevator to activate whatever device is down here. I then move on to the next bunker, which ends up requiring me to explore some sewers. In there, I watch this award-winning video to quickly solve this trial and error puzzle. I then beat up this real OG from back in the day that gave crazy good loot, and then I'm able to turn on a big machine down here. I know it feels like I'm skipping past things, but like, all of that kinda just happened, and I don't know how to better explain it. With all those machines powered on, I have one final destination, the museum. There's apparently one more bunker inside. Before going, I take some time to prepare, gathering items and using my soul stones to collect some nifty spells like a healing one. Entering the museum, I then open the pathway to one final bunker. This is it. It's time to pick my party members for the final time. I go with Abella, who's been here since the start, and apparently her NLU mission is to reach this bunker, so it makes sense. I take Marina because her pyromancy has been invaluable. And lastly, I decide to take Olivia because I wanted to see how she would climb down the big ladder that leads into the bunker. I chose to leave Levi behind because in my eyes, he's already lived through enough hell, so he can stay. And Karen should live so she can tell the story of what happened here. So, with our best weapons equipped, I delve beneath the earth. It's a long climb, followed then by a long walk, but eventually I'm met by a great mechanical door. I open it, and we all step into our iron coffin as the door shuts behind us. No way out. This is another military outpost, but one in disarray, with a few soldiers still patrolling the halls. These soldiers are from Bremen, and they're armed with trench guns and flamethrowers. They're hardy, but much like before, my group can overcome them. I do want to mention that I just find these soldiers very odd. They're so bulky and weirdly mechanical. I know they're flesh and blood people since, they bleed, but they feel off and inhuman. Down here, I have to power on yet another generator, and then descend a floor deeper. At the lowest level, I'm then confronted by a living tank and its master. They charge and attack me with a reckless abandon. Somehow, we're able to survive this behemoth crashing into us, and we overcome the soldier by burning her to death, leaving only the platoon, as it's called. Without its master, the creature goes mad and begins to wildly attack, even taking aim at me with its gun and unleashing an explosive shell. I feel the coin flip and am brought down to a single HP. The hardened heart I purchased has saved me in my time of need. I can't set this thing on fire, so collectively my party just beats it to death, with me occasionally using some of that newfound healing magic. Eventually the creature is slain, and it lies in a pool of its own blood next to its master. Stepping past them, I then arrive in a hall of darkness and am returned to that place from the very start of the game with the massive figures sitting around each table. They seem to be rejoicing about an ultimate climax ready to make its grand appearance. I briefly lose consciousness and then appear in a featureless room, where sitting before me is a man clad in yellow, the Kaiser, leader of the Bremen army. In his seat he says that soon a new god shall be born, Logic, the machine god. This must be what Abella was talking about. This machine god's birth must be related to all the craziness above ground. He goes on saying that Logic will be a god of humanity, one that will merge everyone's consciousness together, so that together we may all jointly ascend. He then rises from his seat and refuses to allow me to progress any further, as the machine god is still too frail. He draws his blade, and a battle begins. I set his body on fire, I throw a wrench at his sword arm, and then beat him to death. The Kaiser wasn't actually that strong. I thought he'd be stronger, you know? Oh, and then he dissolves into goop, just like Marina's father, leaving one final door, where beyond it lies the machine god, and I intend to accomplish something. I don't know why I'm here. I just want something with a better end for these characters. One where I don't kill them. On the other side, I behold the machine god in all its glory. It's overwhelming, so much so that I then have every person in the party start taking drugs. And in our altered state, we charge the newborn god, smashing its devices and mechanical parts to pieces. The machine god is imposing, but not particularly scary. I need to destroy these canisters so I can deal real damage, all while this thing attacks with unique spells like Red Arc. But it's truly nothing we can't handle, and then in a matter of minutes, it dies. We emerge victorious, or so it seems, as the machine god then awakes, breaking free of its metal shell and ensnaring me in pale green light, allowing me to see her directly. Logic. She speaks to me and does not ask me. No, she has me join her in the promised land. I fall through a sea of green lights. I float through nothingness and shamble forward in a place called the Artificial Green. Each step is laborious, and at the end, I see a cage of humans, all seemingly working together to keep something out. I think I see the moon. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened to any of my party members. I don't know if this is a better ending than the grisly fates I led them to last time. For all I know, we were better off dead, instead of wherever here is. And that grants me Ending A, the Machine God. Credits then start to roll, and I see that 3 people survived the festival of Termina. Levi, thank goodness. Karen, wonderful. The story's gonna be told. It'll be out there. And August, the old guy with the mustache who really didn't do much. As the credits roll, I'm unsure how to feel about this ending, cause it doesn't really feel triumphant, nor does it feel like I earned or accomplished something. If anything, I think a better ending in a story sense would have been if I had went ahead and killed the rest of the contestants after I murdered Abella, Karen, and Marina. I feel like that apathy and nothing matters vibe could have led to that, and that would have been a really good ending. But, well, the footage is from the summer of 2024, and when that happened, I just didn't make a save and just kinda died like 20 minutes later. And since then, I've gotten a new laptop that, as it turns out, does not have the saves from the previous runs I've done of Termina, because Fear and Hunger Termina does not do Steam Cloud saving. So if I wanted to do that alternative ending, I would have to replay the whole game, which I don't want to do. It kinda doesn't feel worth it since the major update is supposed to be coming soon, eventually, hopefully. But regardless, I just want to give my final thoughts and say that this game kinda gets easy after a while. Like seriously, once I got 4 party members and started really using wrench toss, I was just steamrolling through just about everything. I kinda mentioned it, but to be clear, I did kill every single enemy in Preheville. All the villagers, the bobbies, everything. I ran through the town and left it a ghost town. And then when it came to fighting bosses, once I acquired Marina and could just burn them to death, that became the only strat. Hell, after this run, I then went ahead and beat the game as Olivia, murdering every contestant and then fighting Perkily and the Moon. To which my final thoughts on Fear and Hunger as a whole is that these games aren't that difficult. They're just very imposing. They have this aura of being unapproachable because of how grim they can be, especially the first game. But for the most part, these games are puzzles, and after you've beaten them once, you already have most of the solutions, and everything then pales before the might of your knowledge. Which you can really see throughout this video because, if you noticed, at the very start of the game, I ran away from everything. I avoided everything thanks to my fear and ingrained cowardice. But by the end game, I was just jumping everything and setting them on fire. Which in my opinion makes for a pretty damn satisfying game. And I think that about sums it up. So, I have been a Zamen, and thank you very much for watching this video. And consider sticking around if you don't hate my voice. My sole goal here is to improve my writing, editing, and speaking as I go on. Goodbye.